That's right, miniature painting fans. Today I'm going to find out if I can actually paint in the Grimdark fashion using the John Blanche Masterclass paints. We primed Batman from DCeased in a German Panzer Grey from Vallejo. We're going to be using the Darkness, which is also paint that can extend your, what is it called? Extended triad or whatever it's called, the new triad of 6 paints from the Army Painter War Paints Fanatic. So this adds on a darker blue, or I think it's a deep blue green, I can't remember the type of it. Anyway, so it expands it, so it puts it a little bit darker. And of course on top of the German Panzer Grey, you barely see the difference. So, but that's the point. When you're painting Grimdark, I found out, is that you have to start with a dark base and you work up to all your highlights that you want. I know this is not a speed painting video, but you know what? I gotta get out of my comfort zone once in a while, and I'm actually starting to enjoy painting with War Paints Fanatics a little bit more than I am with speed paints. Speed paints can be touchy whenever you're not doing it properly, and I just found that using this, and you can see this blue, look at how beautiful this blue is on top of the gray, and how it covers. Again, it's just one coat. You don't need 2 thin coats. This one is pretty thin anyways. I mean, my brush was a bit wet when I put it on, of course. And I'm getting the gloves, the boots, his cowl, and the cape, and all that stuff. And now I'm using Ironclad Gray, which was, I can't remember for the love of me, the gray they originally had in the first one. It was the gray that everyone wanted and was missing from the extended triad of paints. And I know I'm saying that wrong. And it doesn't even look like I'm painting anything right now. Anyways, on top of the German Panzer Grey, it's like I'm not even doing anything. But it's giving it a coat of paint that it needs. And then we're using Moonbeam Yellow, one of the other colors. But this one is not part of the flexible triad. That was the word, flexible triad. It is not part of that. It doesn't have an extended whatever. It is just its own kind of yellow. And it's great for this, the belt and the symbol on his chest and all that, so on and so forth. This one is a little bit more tricky. It doesn't, you know, it is a little bit more opaque, so it will require a little bit more, I think, of a second coat, but not really, because if you want a Grimdark, you want to have sort of like an undercoating. This Ivory White is another John Blanche Masterclass paint. Super good for skin, I find, especially if you use the warm skin shade, which we will use later. Alright, now we're going back to the original flexible triads, and we're using the deep gray. So this was the one right after the black, if you remember correctly, in those 6 paints. And again, it was like way too, so you can see the contrast between the black almost and this one. Well, I didn't use black, but anyways. And then the Abyssal Blue, I believe this one is not actually the next color in the flexible triads from the John Blanche one. I just found this was the blue that was showing up more on the artwork on the card for DCeased than what they were suggesting in the flexible triad. So I didn't follow the triad too much. I followed more what I thought was a little bit more appropriate for what was on the artwork, but still going with that whole Grimdark of you start off with really dark and you work your way up to really vibrant colors, and then you use washes and actually a speed paint to tie it all together, and you're gonna see how that goes out. You see me try the speed paints. If you haven't seen that video, go take a look at it. It is one of my, I think it's my latest video. It will show up at the probably as a recommended video or something like that for you guys, but go take a look at that. Now I know I'm going really crazy here with some highlights. I'm going ash gray. It's next in that flexible triad. It's going to be getting all the areas where light would be hitting, really making a huge, almost cartoony, like this is where they, you know, that cartoony look, but with the wash later on, it's going to like incorporate everything together. And then I'm using the Phalanx Blue, so I'm still following in that deep greenish blues, I think they're called, and using that. So again, not following it from that first blue color, you know, and following the flexible triad here. And as you can see, my paint is a little bit more diluted. It's more of a glaze here because we're not trying to have too much, like too strong of a highlight, and making it blend in more with the background, especially on the cape on the inside part here. You don't want it to be too bright. Here we mixed in some Brigade Gray and the Aegis Aqua. Or Aegis Aqua. So I actually mixed these in together to create that super highlight that was a little bit bluish gray. I couldn't find one. And then I used the Brigade Gray on its own to just do little tiny more highlights, one more layer on top of the gray parts, and getting that even more finalized. And then I'm going to start off now with some washes. So we're going to start off with the warm skin shade. We're going to put this on his face. Look at that. Just amazing how it makes a skin tone, like just perfect. And now we're using that Grimdark shadow, also part of the John Blanche set, and we're putting this on all the gray areas, even the yellow spots, where the yellow was, the moonbeam yellow, doing all that, not the cape and all that. But now we're using turnbull turquoise, and we really diluted it with some medium, and just using it as a glaze over all the blue areas and just tying it all together, making it pop, making it look amazing. And when it dries, I'm telling you right now, it's going to look amazing. You're going to see that come up real soon. But there you have it, folks. If I can paint Grimdark, so can you. And you don't have to be afraid to try it. Don't forget to like and comment this video. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to slay the gray one miniature at a time.